All right, and welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are talking post-game to the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders get beat 30-23. We're going to be breaking down some of the key aspects of this game and why the Commanders got beat. And so let's start off with the time of possession. The Baltimore Ravens dominate in that fashion, 36 minutes compared to the Washington Commanders' 23 minutes. And let's start with what both teams were able to do on the ground. And so, you're looking at the Baltimore rushing attack. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 132 yards, 5.5 an average, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty stellar, okay? Because that means every time that Derrick Henry touched the football, I mean, they're already halfway to the first down marker. And so when you're able to continue to get first downs in this game, then that means that you are getting some drives. You're wearing down on that defense. It's certainly going to show in the fourth quarter. So I think that Derrick Henry did a great job as far as establishing the tempo for the Baltimore Ravens with how well he ran the football. Next up with Lamar Jackson, I think that you see that Lamar Jackson only had the 40 yards, but those 40 yards were big because they were 40 yards where they were able to get some critical first down, or, he was able to go ahead and keep that drive alive. And that's what you want if you're the Baltimore Ravens. And that's what we're talking about with time of possession. I think that they did a terrific job as far as staying ahead of schedule on the offense, making sure that that first down marker was going to be easy to get to. And yes, they did a great job as far as just holding on to the clock and really making sure that Jaden Daniels was on the sideline here. And so on the other side of this thing, when you look at the Washington Commanders and you look at what they were able to do running the football, I talked about the fact that in order for the Washington Commanders to keep pace with the Baltimore Ravens, they were going to have to run the football. And I know that they were going to have to test a tough defense because Baltimore was coming in. They were only giving up 2.9 yards per carry. And you knew that the Washington Commanders were going to have to at least get Baltimore to think about it. And so I think that they did a good job as far as making them think about it, because they did get some carries out there to Austin Eckler, who had 9, Jeremy McNichols had 2, and Jaden Daniels had 6. But the success rate wasn't there. 22 yards for Jaden Daniels today, 21 from Austin Eckler, 9 from Jeremy McNichols. And I just think that they ran with the attempts, but I think that they needed to continue to try to establish that run a little bit more. I would have liked to seen Jaden Daniels maybe get some more design runs to see if maybe he could have got outside the pocket. But you have to give the Baltimore Ravens credit, because when you take away just the runs that the Washington Commanders have had over the last couple of weeks, I think that that really kind of took away some of the identity of the Washington Commanders. I've said this before. I think that this is really where it has started for the Washington Commanders, and it's up front. It's being able to open up the holes for these running backs and for Jaden Daniels to get loose in the running game, which really has helped us in the pass game as well. And so, I think that you saw, what happens when you take away the run game. You also see what happens when you don't have Brian Robinson Jr. out there. He's a lot more of a physical runner. So perhaps that maybe would have helped us out a little bit more, to go ahead and maybe kind of bang on that defense a little bit more. Perhaps, he's able to get some more yardage out of this thing, break some tackles. But you have to give the Baltimore Ravens credit for going ahead and minimizing the Washington Commanders' running game. So I think that that was a key aspect here. Next up, just looking at the passing game, clearly you see that the Ravens had the clear advantage here, 323 to 269. And the initial thoughts just looking at this is that, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, they had a lot of chunk plays. All right. When you look at the average, 14.7, 17.8, 22, an average for Mark Andrews, like every play that they made were like huge plays. And, it really helped the Ravens continue to get into scoring position. And with Zay Flowers, I think that he did an outstanding job in making it tough after the catch. Like, I think that he did a good job, like with run after catch. I think that that was something that was tough for the Washington Commanders coming into this because they had to tackle better, and Zay Flowers certainly challenged them there. And you knew it was going to be a challenge for this Washington Commanders secondary because they had given up the most touchdowns in the league to wide receivers. We didn't give up a wide receiver touchdown today. We did give up a ton of yards. And again, I think just being able to tackle, keep things in front of you, that was on full display today. So I think the Baltimore Ravens took advantage of that. For the Washington Commanders, have to give a lot of credit to Terry McLaurin and what he was able to do. He had some big plays in this, but look at the average 8.8, comparatively speaking, to Zay Flowers at 14.7. Like, I think that was key. He did get into the end zone twice. And isn't it interesting that Zach Ertz, who had the biggest average as far as the receiving core, he didn't get into the end zone. 4 receptions, 68 yards, and a lot of the damage that he was able to do was in the middle of the field, which is the way you would want to attack the Ravens defense. I think that that's something that has been noted before, that, if you're going to have an opportunity to beat the Ravens or to really take advantage of that defense, it is to attack the middle of the field, which we did do. But I just think that, he's got to find a way, hopefully, to get into the end zone and maybe even get some more catches at that point, because you see the success rate for him. You see the success rate for Noah Brown, but you have to continue to get them some more targets. And, I think that Jaden Daniels did a great job as far as staying composed and just really, composed as far as finding targets down the field, even though, he did have the 3 sacks and things like that. But, I think that that's one thing that you take away from this game, even in a loss, is just the composure that he had to get down the field to these wide receivers. And I love the fact that we were able to take advantage of some of the things that I talked about with Austin Eckler, the 4 for 47. I thought that he was going to be a huge player for us. So I think that Jaden Daniels did take advantage of that. And he did have some splash plays too. So, I think just the passing game, you see that they had bigger splash plays than us. And, their drives led to touchdowns. Our drives led to field goals. In order to keep pace with the Ravens, you got to score some touchdowns in this game. And so that's one thing that we did not do. And that's something that it's a learning lesson, right? Because, that's what teams who become great, they end up doing. You have to find ways to keep that defense on the field, the opposing defense, and you have to find a way to get touchdowns versus field goals. So I think that this is going to be a learning experience for Jaden Daniels, but I certainly like the way he responded, not turning the football over. He didn't get flustered. It looked like he still felt like, he was in complete command, even though the Ravens were giving him different looks and things like that. So that's a huge takeaway. We got a good showing from Terry McLaurin. I think that connection is only going to continue. And defensively, even though we gave up 30 points, there's a plus here. We did get a turnover, something that we had not done going into this game. In fact, the Commanders were last as far as turning the football over in the pass game. So to get an interception, a good run back from the rookie, Mike Samra, still is huge. And so, there's a lot of pluses to take away from this, even though we did take the loss. I think the Commanders are going to be a better team, but it's okay. 30-23, they take the loss. Let me know what your takeaways are from the Ravens beating the Commanders. This is Rico. This is Washington Commanders Insider. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.